What's up, my dudes? My name is Sister Turley, and in this video, I'm just going to be talking about MXGP 2. So, I know some of you guys are probably like, what, Spencer? I thought you were a diehard MX Simulator fan. I thought you only played MX Simulator, but that's actually not the case at all. I play all motocross games. It's just I happen to spend most of my time on MX Simulator, so it's pretty cool to see the new MXGP 2 game going to be coming out, because if you guys haven't noticed by now, the motocross gaming industry is kind of in a poop hole. And there's just no good motocross games out right now. I mean, what do we have? We got MX vs. ATV Supercross, which I really don't even want to talk about, and we also have MX Simulator, and that's pretty much all we got right now. So it's definitely cool to see something else going to be coming out. So I'm definitely looking forward to the MXGP 2. It looks pretty cool. It looks like it's going to have some pretty solid graphics and a lot of customization, so that definitely looks pretty cool. And it looks like the physics are going to be a little better than the first one, just from what I'm seeing right now. So just let me go ahead and give you a little bit of background information. I never even played the first MXGP game, and the reason for that is because that was right around the time that I was really frustrated with the industry. I don't know, I was playing Reflex, and then they went to a live, and I didn't understand how they did that at all. I don't know how you go from Reflex to a live, and then after all that, they come out with freaking MX vs. ATV Supercross just for the icing on the cake, which is even further away from Reflex. And yeah, at that point, I was just really kind of frustrated with the arcade motocross games, because they just got so far away from that solid, realistic feeling like Reflex had. And trust me, I completely understand the whole, you just want to hang out and chill out and play more of an arcade style motocross game. I completely understand that, because that's how I started. I mean, I wasn't a diehard, crazy, want to be good at a motocross game when I first started on Reflex, but it was cool that Reflex gave me that opportunity to get really invested into it, because it had such a big skill gap. So Reflex was really cool like that. But man, I've never seen a franchise go so backwards so quick and not realize that that's not what people want. Like, I don't know why they, when they came out with Alive, trust me, Alive was okay, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that Reflex still had pretty far levels above Alive's, like as far as the bike realism feeling, as far as the physics and everything, and as far as like just the way the bike jumped and stuff like that. It just felt way better on Reflex. And so you would have thought they would have learned from that, and then MX vs. ATV Supercross would have been at least closer to Reflex than Alive. But no, it's actually further away from Reflex than Alive. So I don't know, man, it's crazy. There had to have been some kind of license agreement. This is kind of my theory on all that. There had to be some sort of license agreement where they pretty much couldn't take anything from Reflex, and they had to kind of stick with taking stuff from Alive, or they were just the most lazy game makers ever. I don't know what went on, because how could you take it feels similar to Alive, but it's worse. I mean, that's basically what MX vs. ATV Supercross is. And I don't know, man, I just don't see how they can get so far straight away from Reflex in such a short amount of time. But that's a whole nother rant for a whole nother video. I'm just mainly talking about MXGP in this video. So, but that was kind of the explanation on why I didn't even pick up the first MXGP game, is because it kind of looked a little on that stale, like the rider just looked a little stiff to me, and it just looked like all the whips looked identical, and it was like you just hit a button and it just did a whip for you. That's kind of what it looked like to me. So, me already being frustrated with the MX vs. ATV series, I definitely didn't want to go out there and pick up, MXGP at that point. But so that's kind of the main reason I didn't pick it up, is just I was already kind of frustrated with those arcade motocross games and the direction they were going. And so that was kind of my reasoning behind that. But trust me, I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, the whips have to be perfect, and it's not even about the whips, really. It's about how the bike feels under you. The whip, when I say whips, that's just kind of a little example to telling you how the actual physics of the game are. Because if your whips are looking really stale, then that just goes to show you that your turning of the actual bike and your inertia on the bike is not very not very good, not very solid, when your whips look not very good. I mean, that's the whip. When you say whips, it's not necessarily, I don't get butthurt over the whips not being perfect or not looking good. It's not that. It's just, it's the physics of how the bike feels under you in the corners and the jumps and the ruts and how you lean on the bike, and all that stuff is what it really means. But you can look, a lot of times you can just look at how the whips look and pretty much base it off of that. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, Spencer, you only care about the whips? What the heck, dude? Like, that's not what it is at all, I promise. So, but yeah, so that's why I really wasn't too into the first MXGP game. I've never even touched it. So, but this MXGP 2 looks pretty solid, man. It looks a little bit more on just the realism, solid kind of feeling on the bike. And trust me, it still looks a little stiff, a little weird on the whips and stuff, but I've got a lot of hopes for it, man. I feel like they probably learned a little bit, and they'll be able to change the game. But I mean, this is only the second game in the franchise, so Reflex was not the first game in the MX vs. ATV franchise. You got to look at that. Like, it took them a little while to figure out how to make a solid, realistic but arcadey style motocross game. So I feel like they can only really improve from here on the MXGP series. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I can't believe it's coming out 2 months later for the United States. That's crazy. That's insane, man. It's usually the other way around. The other countries get it later or don't get it at all. So, but I can respect that, man. It's cool that the tables are finally turned a little bit and they're getting something early. So I'm definitely happy for all the people that live in Europe and stuff. But it's a little disappointing that we're going to have to wait 2 months now. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to go too deep into trying to get it early and all that crap. Like, I can wait for it. It's not that big of a deal to me. But yeah, I totally understand just the chill out, want to hang out and play a motocross game, not trying to be too crazy competitive on it. And that's why I'm saying I'm thinking the MXGP 2 game is going to be pretty solid. It looks pretty good. So, but I always think about, like, what are you investing your time in? And that kind of goes into, if you're wanting to be competitive, MX Simulator is pretty much your game, because MX Simulator, I feel like, is going to be around forever. So the time you invest in MX Simulator is for a purpose. It's not like tomorrow you're going to wake up and there will be an MX Simulator 2, and then all that time you invested in MX Simulator, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not going to be like that. But when you're playing more of an arcade motocross game, or for me anyways, being so competitive at motocross games, I just have to settle down a little bit and say, Spencer, just chill out. It's just for fun. Just, calm down a little bit. So that's kind of how I have to start looking at those kind of games. But just for instance, like Reflex, it's so competitive and so real feeling, but yet it's got that arcade, easy to pick up style to it as well. And I feel like that's just perfect for an arcade game. Like, you can just hop on Reflex and chill out and have a good time and not have to get too serious with it, but you can also get really serious and really competitive with it at the same time. So that's a really cool thing that Reflex did and kind of taught me about arcadey motocross games. So but the MXGP2, you kind of get into that. Like, is there going to be any custom tracks on that eventually? Or, I mean, that's something you have to look at, because that's such a big aspect to games, is the setting. And that's kind of I know I'm getting totally off on a Spencer Turley rant right now, but actually like 10 of them. But, it's such a big aspect, like whether it be the maps on Call of Duty or the tracks on a motocross game. When you have custom tracks, that opens up a whole nother universe, basically, to the game. I mean, it's insane. So, like, if you don't have your setting of the game right, it's pretty much going to suck. I mean, that's all there is to it. You can have the best gameplay in the world, but if your tracks suck, what's the point? You're riding on something that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, you basically, that's a really big part of the puzzle, is the actual setting of it. But anyways, I'm not wanting to rant on forever here, so seeing that the gameplay kind of quit out there, so I'm just going to try to cut this video off. So, but MXGP2 looks cool, looks promising. I don't know. Like I say, I don't want to talk too much about a game before I have it actually in my hands. I hate to do that. I don't want to talk too good about it or bad about it, but this is just kind of a video just talking about it before it came out. So I hope the tracks are cool and different, and as far as your like jumps and ruts and bumps and styles of tracks and stuff like that, I hope they've got a real variety in it. But anyways, I appreciate all of you watching these videos, and I'll keep on making them.